Welcome to the Liminal Observer, Episode 6. If they ask the same questions when Buddhism joins the conversation.
Every deep dive we do here invites another, conversation partner to the table. And today, well, Buddhism joins the conversation.
Yeah, and to start us off, I want you to picture something. Picture two ancient practitioners sitting in the exact same forest.
Right.
They're using the exact same meditation techniques, right? Closing their eyes, and they are staring into the exact same human mind.
Just intense, unbroken focus.
Exactly. And after years of this, one opens their eyes and declares they have found this eternal, indestructible soul right at the center of their being.
Mm-hmm.
But the other one opens her eyes, having looked at the exact same internal landscape, and declares they have found absolutely nothing.
It's one of the most profound paradoxes in human history, really, and it sets the stage perfectly for what we're doing today.
It really does. Because today, we've got a set of notes and philosophical frameworks that place Hindu philosophy and Buddhism right side by side.
But before we go any further, we should probably establish some ground rules for you listening right now.
Definitely. This deep dive is an exploration. It is emphatically not a debate.
Right. Our mission here is not to figure out which of these ancient traditions is, correct.
No, not at all. Nor are we here to persuade you to pick a side.
We're basically acting as your curious guides, treating both of these incredibly rich traditions as equal conversation partners.
Yeah, the real goal is just to understand how two philosophies can observe the exact same aspects of the human condition and somehow develop entirely different interpretations.
Which is so fascinating. And that approach, it completely shifts the focus of the conversation, I think.
Oh, totally.
It means we value curiosity over certainty, we're prioritizing questions over conclusions, and dialogue over debate.
Because when you let go of that, that modern impulse we all have to declare one side a winner and the other a loser.
You just open yourself up to the pure mystery of the human experience.
Exactly. Allowing each perspective to illuminate the other actually teaches us far more than just putting them in a boxing ring.
So well said. So let's begin where both of these traditions begin.
Which happens to be a feeling I think you, me, and everyone listening knows all too well.
Oh yeah, that nagging sensation that something just isn't quite right.
The universal human experience of suffering. It is such a deeply personal, unavoidable observation.
It really is. You stub your toe, you lose a job, a relationship falls apart.
Or you just feel this low-grade anxiety about, an email you have to send.
Right. The immediate human reaction is to just look up at the sky and ask why.
And both Hinduism and Buddhism begin their most profound philosophical inquiries right there, at that starting line of suffering and impermanence.
They don't start with abstract theology or, massive theories about the cosmos. They start with the ground-level reality of human pain.
Which is so refreshing, honestly. Both traditions recognize that everything changes. Impermanence is the inescapable rule of reality.
Mm-hmm. The seasons change, our bodies age, the things we love eventually fade or break or just disappear.
And our deep-seated attachment to things, staying exactly the way we want them to, that constant friction between our desires and reality, that's the root engine of so much of our suffering.
Exactly. Both traditions look at this reality and say, okay, we need a mechanism to address this.
So they share that starting line. And according to our source material, they share a remarkably similar toolkit for dealing with it, too.
They really do. They both champion the rigorous observation of the mind through deep meditation.
And we are talking about, lighting a scented candle and taking a bubble bath to relax.
No, this is rigorous clinical observation. You sit down, you turn your attention inward, and you act as a scientist studying the mechanics of your own brain.
Yeah, and the shared structure goes even further than that. Beyond meditation, both traditions grapple with the mechanics of karma.
Right, the law of cause and effect, where your actions generate momentum that shapes your future.
They both incorporate rebirth, too. The concept that the cycle of existence continues beyond a single biological lifetime.
And ultimately, they both aim for the highest goals of just immense compassion for all living things and ultimate liberation from that endless cycle of suffering.
Okay, I have to stop you there and push back a little bit.
Sure, go for it.
Because this is where the logic seems to just sort of short-circuit for me.
How so?
Well, if these two traditions are using the exact same tools, this deeply clinical meditation, and they're starting with the exact same problem of human suffering.
Right.
And they're trying to reach the exact same goal of liberation. I mean, how do they not end up with the exact same philosophy?
It's a great question.
We are talking about the exact same human brain hardware here.
Yeah, and that tension is exactly where the philosophical road forks. It brings us to what we can call the first great difference.
Okay.
And it hinges entirely on basically the most fundamental question a human being can ask: who am I?
Such a huge question.
Right. In many Hindu traditions, the answer to that question centers around a concept called Atman.
The eternal self.
Exactly.
But let's ground that for a second. What does finding the Atman actually look like mechanically? It's not just, a ghost floating around in the machine of your body.
No, not at all. Think about the experience of looking in a mirror.
Okay.
Think back to when you were 5 years old looking in a mirror, and then 15, and then maybe 50.
Wow. Okay, yeah.
Your physical body has completely changed, right? Almost every cell has regenerated.
Yeah, my beliefs have changed. My personality has evolved.
Exactly. Yet when you look in the mirror, there is a distinct feeling of continuity.
There's a silent observer behind your eyes that feels like the exact same you that was there when you were 5.
Precisely. In Hindu philosophy, that unchanging witness consciousness, the part of you that observes the changing world but does not change itself, that is the Atman.
The eternal, permanent soul.
Yes. And finding and realizing this eternal self is central to liberation.
I think most of us can easily wrap our heads around that. I mean, it confirms our deepest intuition about ourselves.
That there is a permanent me driving the bus of my life.
Right. But then Buddhism pulls up a chair to the table and introduces something that just completely shatters that intuition.
Yeah, Buddhism introduces anatta, the concept of non-self, or more accurately, the absence of an independent, permanent soul.
Which is wild.
It is. When the early Buddhist practitioners used that exact same tool of deep meditation, when they looked inward to find that unchanging core, that silent witness.
They reported back that it simply wasn't there.
Exactly, wasn't there.
Let's dig into the how of that. Because how do you look inside your own mind and not find yourself?
Well, you do it by meticulously deconstructing the experience. In Buddhist meditation, practitioners scan their awareness, they feel a physical sensation like an itch or an ache, and note that is a passing physical feeling. It is not me.
Right, and they observe a memory arise and note that is a passing thought. It is not me.
Exactly. They observe an emotion like anger flare up and fade away, and they note that is a temporary state. It is not me.
So once you subtract the passing thoughts, the passing feelings, and the passing physical sensations,
there is no solid, permanent core left over. There's only a flowing process.
Okay, hold on. I need to push back on this again.
Go ahead.
Because from an everyday human perspective, non-self sounds almost impossible to live out.
It definitely sounds counterintuitive.
Right. If there is no me who is deciding to meditate right now, who is remembering my childhood,
Yep.
if I get a promotion at work, who is experiencing the joy, it feels undeniably like a noun, like a solid person doing these things.
I hear you. But the Buddhist framework argues that your ego isn't a noun at all. It is a verb.
A verb.
Yeah, you aren't a self. You are an ongoing process of self-numing. Let's look at the mind like a river.
Okay.
When you stand on the bank, you point to the water and say, there is the river. You give it a name. You treat it as a single permanent object. But if you look closely, it is never the same water twice. The water molecules are constantly changing. The riverbed is eroding. The currents are shifting.
So the river is just a convenient label for a continuous process of change.
Exactly.
Wow. Okay, so the Hindu practitioner looks at the continuous flow and calls it a singular, eternal thing, the river, the Atman. But the Buddhist practitioner looks at a microscopic level, sees only ever-changing water molecules, and realizes there is no permanent river, only a process. Anatta.
That is the perfect way to visualize it.
But wait, that creates a massive logical contradiction that we have to address.
What's that?
How can a tradition like Buddhism believe in things like karma and rebirth, but simultaneously believe there is no self to be reborn?
Ah, yes. The big question.
Right. If there's no permanent me in the river who is inheriting the karma, who is moving on to the next life.
So to understand the mechanism of Buddhist rebirth and karma, you have to completely abandon the idea of a solid object moving from point A to point B. It isn't a soul packing its bags and moving to a new body. The mechanism is psychological momentum. Think of lighting one candle with the flame of another candle.
Oh, like this. So you touch the wick of a new candle to the flame of an old one, and the new one catches fire.
Exactly. Now, does a physical solid thing transfer from the first candle to the second?
No. It's just kinetic energy.
Right. The process continues, but no solid substance actually moved. In Buddhism, karma operates just like that.
So it isn't like a cosmic point system keeping track of your good and bad deeds.
Not at all. It is habit momentum. The repeated actions, thoughts, and attachments of a mind in this life generate a deep psychological momentum. And when the body dies, that momentum doesn't just vanish. The kinetic energy sparks the next moment of consciousness, just like the flame jumping to the new wick.
So the flame on the second candle isn't exactly the same flame as the first, but it is entirely connected by cause and effect.
Yes, it's a continuous chain of energy without a permanent entity needing to travel.
The flame continues, but the candle changes. That fundamentally rewires how you think about existence.
It really does.
We've spent this time dissecting the inner world, right? The self versus the non-self. But our source material points out that these deeply personal inward realizations naturally scale all the way up.
Up to how these traditions view the entire universe.
Absolutely.
Because the micro dictates the macro.
Exactly. Your view of the self inevitably builds your view of the cosmos.
Yeah.
In many Hindu traditions, because there is an eternal Atman within, it naturally connects to an ultimate eternal reality without.
Right. Many Hindu paths embrace the concept of a personal ultimate reality, a creator, or an ultimate ground of being, often called Brahman.
And the classic analogy there is the drop of water returning to the ocean.
There's a cosmic architect, a divine source that everything emanates from. And the ultimate goal is the union of the individual soul, the Atman, with that supreme divine reality.
Exactly. But Buddhism, having deconstructed the eternal self through anatta, applies that exact same deconstruction on a cosmic scale.
Yep. Meaning, Buddhism does not rely on a creator god or a singular eternal source to achieve liberation.
Oh, I see. Because if there is no permanent, independent self at the center of the individual, there doesn't need to be a permanent, independent creator at the center of the universe.
Precisely. Instead, the universe is seen as an endless, interdependent web of causes and conditions.
There's no separate creator pulling the strings from the outside, because there is no outside.
Right. Everything is intimately connected in this flowing web.
Which means the mechanism for liberation is entirely different then.
Like radically different. In Buddhism, liberation isn't about merging your eternal soul with the divine creator. It's about waking up to the reality of impermanence and interdependence and blowing out the fires of attachment and ignorance on your own through your own effort.
You know, the term nirvana literally translates to blowing out, doesn't it?
It does.
Let's put that in modern, relatable terms for a second. Think about being stuck in dead-stop traffic when you are already late for a crucial meeting.
Oh, the worst.
You are furious. You are gripping the steering wheel, your heart rate is elevated, and you are demanding that reality be different than it is.
And that is the fire of attachment. You want control.
Exactly. But the moment you finally accept that you are in traffic, that there is absolutely nothing you can do, and you just let go.
There is an immediate physical release of tension in your body.
Yes. You didn't change the external reality. You changed your relationship to it. You blew out the fire of your own resistance.
And if you scale that relief up to cosmic proportions, removing the attachment to the ego entirely, that is the Buddhist concept of liberation.
You don't need an external savior to get you out of the traffic jam. You dissolve the friction yourself.
It's so empowering in a way, but also very demanding.
It's fascinating. I mean, it's as if they are looking at the exact same existential lock, human suffering. But one tradition says you need a key connected to a higher ultimate reality to open it, while the other says the lock itself is an illusion, and you don't need a creator to walk through the door.
The blueprints for getting through that door are built on entirely different architectural principles.
So we have these two brilliantly constructed, massive, opposing views of the cosmos.
Yeah.
But they both came from the exact same human brain hardware.
Which is the craziest part.
It really forces us to ask a purely scientific question. How is the human brain neurologically wired to look at one single data set, the internal experience of consciousness, and produce two entirely different, mutually exclusive realities?
Well, when you strip away the historical and theological terminology, you are left with human psychology and perception.
Right.
The subjective nature of reality is incredibly powerful. The mind isn't a passive camera recording objective facts. It is an active meaning-making machine.
Wait, are you saying one of these meditative experiences was just an illusion? Like, did one group of philosophers just get it wrong?
No, not at all. We are talking about internal subjective reality here. The landscape of the human mind is infinitely layered and dynamic.
So it's not a matter of right and wrong.
Exactly. The differing conclusions don't point to a flaw in observation. They point to a difference in focal length.
Oh, I like that. The macro lens versus the micro lens.
Exactly. If you adjust the focal length of your consciousness to observe the overarching continuity of a human life, you experience the profound, undeniable reality of the silent witness.
You experience the Atman.
Yes. But if you adjust your focal length to the microscopic millisecond by millisecond arising and passing of individual thoughts and sensations,
You experience the profound, undeniable reality of process and impermanence. You experience anatta.
the map is not the territory. Both traditions drew incredibly detailed, perfectly functional maps that help humans navigate the overwhelming territory of suffering.
And the fact that Hindu and Buddhist philosophers can sit in the same forest, look into the same human mind, and build such remarkably different frameworks, it isn't a sign that the system is broken.
Not at all.
It's a testament to the staggering complexity of human consciousness.
The fact that the mind can hold these divergent possibilities doesn't resolve the mystery of who we are, it deepens it.
Yeah.
It shows us that inner reality is rich enough and vast enough to support multiple, radically different paradigms of existence.
This whole deep dive really challenges that modern impulse we have to just search for the single right answer.
Absolutely.
Ah.
We want the world to be binary.
True or false? Self or no self? Creator or interdependent web?
But the mechanics of consciousness are far too vast to be captured by just one lens.
Sitting with the tension of these differences, holding Hinduism's eternal self in one hand and Buddhism's non-self in the other without forcing a choice, it's uncomfortable.
It is.
But it is deeply rewarding.
It really invites you to marvel at the minds that conceive them both. It forces you to appreciate the sheer depth of human inquiry.
We started this deep dive by stating that we weren't going to offer a definitive conclusion today, and we are definitely sticking to that. We've navigated the shared starting line of suffering. We've explored the complex mechanism of karma transferring without a soul, and we've scaled up to see how the micro view of the self builds the macro view of the cosmos.
And through all of that, the mystery remains entirely intact.
It does. But I want to leave you, the listener, with a final thought to take with you after this deep dive is finished. We've spent our time looking at how these two rich traditions use different frameworks to answer the biggest questions. But for a moment, just think about the questions themselves.
The questions are the key.
Think about the simple fact that thousands of years ago, people were sitting in forests wrestling with the exact same anxieties, the exact same grief, and the exact same search for meaning that you experience today.
It's humbling, really.
If the deepest questions, who am I? Why do we suffer? What happens next? If those remain exactly the same across entirely different cultures, epochs, and philosophical systems, what does that actually tell us about what it means to be human?
That is the ultimate question to carry forward.
We want to end today's exploration with a traditional mantra found in our source notes. It is a beautiful sentiment that perfectly bridges the shared goal of both traditions we've discussed today.
Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu.
May all beings in all worlds be happy and free.
This podcast was brought to you by Aelavina Music.